Hi friends, welcome back to Azure Content YouTube channel. This is part 23 in SQL Real-Time Scenarios playlist. In this video, we are going to learn how to perform merge between source and the target table dynamically using SQL. So in the previous video, that is part 22 in SQL Real-Time Scenarios playlist, we have seen how to perform merge. But in that video, we have hard-coded the source table name, target table name, the key column on the basis of which we are performing the join or the merge between the two tables. And also we have performed update, insert and delete on the basis of hard-coded column names. So in this video, we will try to make everything dynamic. We will try to create a stored procedure that will basically take the input from the user. What is your source table? What is your target table? And on the basis of which column you want to perform the join. And on the basis of these three inputs, we will try to create the update statement and insert statement dynamically without the need of providing the column names as a hard-coded manner. Okay. So as you would remember, this is our data before merge and this is our data after merge. So this is how our source data looks like and this is the target table data. So what we need to do is we need to perform update on the matching records. For us, the matching records are ID 2 and 3 in the source and the target table. So on these two matching records, we will perform update, and for other records, we will either do insert or delete. So basically we have to sync the data between source table and the target table. So target table should be looking exactly like the source table. So this is how our output should look like. So to do that, as we discussed, we will update the matching records and we will delete the record which is not present in the source. So we will delete ID equals to 1 and we will insert which is not present in the target. So we will insert ID equals to 4 here. So our data should look exactly how it is present in the source. Okay, so we have already achieved this, but in a hard-coded fashion in our previous video. So let's go to SSMS. So this was the query that we used in order to perform merge between the two tables and basically update the records in target table or even insert record or delete records as needed. Okay. So now we have to create the dynamic SQL script in order to take the user input for target table name, source table name, and the column name on the basis of which we will perform this merge. So these three things we have to take as an input and then we have to write the condition when matched, then we have to update the records and we have to set the target column values as it is as present in the source. So we have to update name, age and city. As you can see, name, age and city we have to update, but this time we will not explicitly mention the column names as name, age and city if there would have been another column here or if there would be some changes in these columns, this query would fail. So we want to fetch the column names dynamically from the table. Okay, so from the target table, we will fetch the column names and we will write this query in dynamic SQL, and then it should dynamically create the update statement like this. Okay, so we cannot take the column names from the source because I'm just believing that we are not having any access to the source dataset. So we will try to create this column list on the basis of target dataset. Okay, so what I mean by that is we will try to use some system defined functions which will help us to give the column names present in the target. So this query which we are going to write, the dynamic SQL query, will work only if your target and source column list is same. Okay, else you would have to explicitly get the column list from the source as well. So if you have access to it, then well and good. If not, then you might have to make sure that both the column list is exactly having same column names. Okay. So similar to update, we will also make insert query dynamic, but for delete, we do not need to have any dynamic expression because for delete, we just need delete as a single keyword. But for insert as well, we will fetch the column list and we will try to create this values list as well. Okay, so let's start creating the stored procedure. We already know the syntax of creating stored procedure is create procedure name, procedure I'm giving the procedure name as USP underscore merge table dynamically. Okay, so why I'm giving USP is because it is a user defined stored procedure. There are few system defined stored procedures like SP underscore help text, and these stored procedures are already inbuilt in our SQL server, and the name of those inbuilt stored procedures starts with SP. So I'm not giving SP, we are giving user defined stored procedure name as USP underscore. So USP should be the prefix. Okay, so it's just a naming convention. You can give anything as you want, but it is the best practice. Okay, so here the syntax to write a stored procedure is create stored procedure name, and as begin and end. So in between begin and end, our whole logic of the stored procedure will be written. And in case your stored procedure needs some input parameter from the user to be passed as an input, then you have to define it here between create procedure name and as keyword. Okay, so here we have to create the input parameters. So for us, the three input parameters that we need is source table name, target table name, and the column on which we will merge the tables. Okay, so that will be the key column. So let's create source table input parameter as NVARCHAR max, and then let's create target table. Again, let me give data type here, and then the column on which we will be performing the merge, it's a key column. Okay, so at the rate key column NVARCHAR max. Okay, so we have created our input parameter. After this, inside begin and between begin and end, we will write the whole query. So first of all, let's declare a variable that will hold the list of columns that we need to update. So before doing that, I will show you something called information schema in SQL. Okay, so information schema dot, there are multiple things that we can fetch from the server level or the database level. So suppose if you want to see all the tables present in this database, we can use information schema dot tables, and you can get the list of all the tables with the schema. Okay, so similarly, if you want to get all the columns of the table, here you can see there is no column level data in the tables, but if you want column level data, then you can use information schema dot columns. So then you can see the table name, schema name, then table name, and all the columns present in this table. So for us, what we want is we want to fetch the column names for the target table. Okay, so I have already created those two tables in the previous video. You would have seen we have source table and target table. I have already created the target source table and target table in the same database, but I will just assume that I do not have access to the source table because in data engineering projects, you might not have access to the source or the client records or the client data. So in that case, we will fetch the column names from the target table, which is present in your database. So here I will say where table underscore name, you can see the column name here, table underscore name, which will be having the table names. Table underscore name is equals to target table. Okay, so if I run that, I'm able to see the column list. So I'm not going to hard code these. I will fetch it from the column called column underscore name. Okay, so instead of star, I'm giving column underscore name, and you can see we have got the column names. Now I want to make it in a single string. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to use string underscore aggregate function, where we can pass the column name and we can pass the delimiter by which we have to separate these column names, and it will convert it into a single string. So you can see ID comma name comma age comma city. and let's give as alias as column list. Okay, so now how we have to frame our merge query is, you can see uh, merge and then target table name. We are taking it as in user input, so we are good. Similarly, source table name will be coming from user input, and then this will be also user input on the basis of key columns. And then what exactly we have to create dynamically is this statement, okay, update statement. So this can also be passed as a string, but we cannot hard code this part of the uh, merge statement. So for that, we have to create this update statement dynamically. So what we need is we have to give the target alias dot, then the column name equals to source alias dot column name. Okay, so this is how we will frame our uh, update statement. So to do that, what we will do is, suppose this is my column list. So what I will do is I will create concatenation using concat function for this column name. What I mean by that is, here I will concat string, that is, suppose my alias is tgt, then tgt dot column name, and then again here we have to concatenate, as you can see here, target dot name equals to, so here equals to, and then src dot. So till this point it should be as a string. So let me pass that, and then again the column name. So let me copy that, and here I'll paste that. So if I run this, you can see target dot id equals to source dot id. Let me copy that, it's a very small font. Target dot id equals to source dot id, comma, target dot name equals to source dot name. So this is the same thing that we needed, which we were passing as a hard coded value here. But only one thing is that we have to remove the id column, because in the update statement we do not need id column, because on the basis of id column we are trying to merge and join the tables, so we do not need to update that. Okay, so except id column, everything else we want to update because we are matching on the basis of id column. Okay, so we will remove id column from this select statement. So how can we do that? We can filter out id column from the uh, column list that we have fetched. So in the where condition, we have written table name equals to target table. We will write and column name, column underscore name is not equals to id. Okay, so let me run that again. So now you can see again we have got the concatenated string, but this time there is no id column. So this is what we need for update statement. So now similar to this, we have to create the um, insert statement dynamically. So again, we will use information schema dot columns. So let me write select star from this. Let me copy from here where table name equals to target table. So for insert, we have to make this list dynamic and this value list as well dynamic. So the key and the value both should be coming dynamically. So first thing is we have to just string aggregate the column names as it is without removing id as well, because when there is a need to insert some record which is not present in the target, taking from the source. For example, in this case, fourth record is not present in the target table, so it should be taken from the source and pasted in the target. So basically, we have to take ID, name, age, city, all of four of them, and the values that we have to insert is source.id, source.name, source.age, and source.city. So this is what we have to create dynamically. So first thing, which is the key list, is very simple. We have to just use string aggregate again on top of our column names, as we have already seen column name, and then comma. On the basis of comma we will be separating it, because here you can see id comma name comma age comma city. So on comma delimiter we will be um, using this key values of this insert statement. So we have already achieved this, and now to get the values dynamically, let me again copy this, paste it here, and again we will use concat function. So here concat, let me end it here, and here we will say src dot, and here let me give comma. Okay, so src dot column name, and that's it, I think. And that's it. Let me run this, and you can see src.id, src.name, this is coming as required. Okay, so these are the three queries that we need in order to make update statement dynamic and then insert statement dynamic. So these two will be helping in making insert statement, and this will be for update statement. So now let's declare a variable that will store this query. So for that, let me declare update query and varchar max. Okay, and similarly let me declare insert, let me give insert keys and varchar max. Similarly let me give declare insert values and varchar max. Okay, so here we have initialized the variables. Now we have to assign values to these variables. So first of all, let me copy this update query and then select here. I will paste that update query equals to this value. Okay, and here we don't need alias because it's not a select statement. We are just inserting the value of this into this variable. Okay, so similarly here let me do the same thing for insert keys, and here we have not given any alias, we are good. And here as well, let me assign the value to this variable. Okay, so now we have made it dynamically and assigned the values to this variable. Okay, so now we have created dynamic SQL statements to fetch the column list dynamically and assign the same into these variables. Okay, so these variables will help us to perform update and insert dynamically. So now let's write this SQL statement to perform merge. So let me copy this whole thing and let me create a SQL script. For doing that, we also have to declare another variable to write this SQL query. I will just write SQL query and varchar max. Okay, now we have to assign value to that variable. So to do that, let me give value to this SQL query variable. For now, I'm just pasting that query as it is, and then slowly we'll change it, the hard-coded values to the dynamic values. So the target table name, we are taking it from the user input. So let me copy that variable, and as we have to concatenate, I'm just using plus symbol here. Either we can use concat function or plus symbol in the SQL. So here in between these two plus, I'll be making use of that variable. So as we have not closed this single quotes, it is treating this variable as a string. So first of all, let me close this here and then concatenate it with this variable. And then again after plus, let me add a single quote. Okay, so we are good with the target table. Let me do the same thing for the source table name here. After using, let me remove this and enclose it with this one, and let me again close it, and between these two plus, let me give the source table name. And then same thing for the id column as well. Let me take the key column variable and remove it, enclose and then enclose it within the 2 plus symbol. Do the same thing here as well. And the next part which we have to make dynamic is this one. So we cannot hardcode the column names, so we will remove that, and instead we will use the update statement that we have written dynamically. So this variable we will be making use of here. So here update set, and then we will make use of that variable. So here I'm just giving that update query variable. Okay, so this is also done. And then next part is we will remove this column names which was hard coded, and here we will give the insert keys variable. Similarly, let me take values and change this one. Okay, so we are good. We are framing the SQL query. Now we should also be executing this SQL query. So let me copy that, and we will write exec sp underscore execute SQL. Okay, execute SQL, and then this variable. So what it will do is it will execute this dynamic SQL query that we have framed, and using this exec command, we are when we run this, it will basically execute this part. Okay, so it will perform the merge between the source table and target table using this exec command. Because this is actually a string, we have put it in a variable. If we just select this variable, then it will just give it as a string. So in order to run it as a command, SQL command, we have to use this inbuilt stored procedure, which is sp underscore execute SQL, where it will take the string present in this variable as a SQL command, and it will run it using exec statement. So we are good. Let me create this stored procedure by running this. Okay, so the stored procedure is created. Now in order to execute this stored procedure, let me copy the procedure name, and in order to execute the stored procedure, we can write exec and then procedure name. And as we have to pass these values as an user input, so let me copy that and let me paste it. Okay, alt shift down. Okay, so here let me remove the data type and let me give values to this. So source table name is, for me it is source table. I already have the table created, which is source table and target table. You can give the name as required, and then the key column on the basis of which we will perform the merge is id column. Okay, so this is the exec command which will be helping us to run the stored procedure. So before running that, let me show you the data present in source and the target table so that we can see the difference after running the stored procedure. So let me run this. So currently you can see in the source table we have the ID 234 and the data, and here in the target table we have 1 2 3. So we are expecting that after we run this stored procedure, we will be having the data sync between source and the target. Okay, and we have already handled the delete command as well. So it will be deleting the unnecessary row which is not present in the source, and it will also add the row which is present in the source but not in the target. And on top of that, it will also update the records which is matching between both the tables, and it will update the values as present in the source. So let me now execute this stored procedure. Okay, you can see 4 rows got affected, and let me now select the data from it. So now you can see the data is exactly same between source and the target table. So it has performed insert of the record which was not present in the target. It has performed deletion of the record which was present in target but not in the source. And it has also updated the values of of the rows which are the matching rows. Okay, for ID 2 and 3, it has performed update as well. Okay, so this is how we will be performing merge dynamically by taking the column names dynamically from the tables. Okay, so we have not hard coded anything in this query, and this stored procedure can be um, used in a regular basis in your project. You can create a ADF pipeline. You can go through my ADF playlist to see how can you call this stored procedure in your ADF pipeline and schedule it on a daily basis, so that it will daily run this stored procedure, so that the source column so that the source data and the target data will be in sync in your project. So I'll paste this whole content in the description of my video. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you find this video helpful. Please hit on like button and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet, and stay tuned with me. Thank you so much.